Hey guys, welcome back. It's time to go over our soft light blending mode. Now this is one of the most commonly used blending modes in Photoshop. It's going to leave 50% gray invisible, okay? So nothing in that mid-range is going to be visible. It will both lighten your lights and darken your darks, and it's going to be really subtle. So this is a super commonly used blending mode. I use soft light all the time. Now, what's really fun is, in this example, we're going to use a photo, and we're going to blur it, and then use the colors from that photo to influence the colors of another photo. Super cool example here. So here in Photoshop, we're in our sample images at chapter 3. Let's take a look at soft light, and we've got 2 images. Let's go ahead and open those up. So we've got a really interesting portrait here, and then I just really like the colors of this photo. I know it's got donuts in it, but we're going to blur it, so it really doesn't matter. So let's use our move tool, and let's click and drag from one image to another. It's going to put the donuts on that image, and then, you know what, let's just go ahead and shrink it down a little bit. There we go. And we'll hit enter there. So now, let's go ahead and change our layer blend mode from normal down to soft light. And you can see we are getting light effects here, but we're getting a little bit too much detail from the donut. Not a big deal. Let's set this back to normal. And I'm going to go ahead and apply a blur to this. But before I apply my blur, I want to change this to a smart object. And the reason is because if you make it a smart object first, then the blur becomes a smart blur. And then you can change that blur level at any time. So it's super, super handy. If you want to adjust a filter at any time, be sure to use a smart object first. So it's easy to do. You just right click on your layer over here and go to convert to smart object. You see a little icon right there. It tells you it's a smart object. Now we're going to go to filter, blur, and I'll just go to a Gaussian blur. And let's go ahead and bump up our blur. Okay. And we'll hit OK. Now, again, notice we said this is going to be a smart filter, so I can turn this off or on at any time. Okay. And I can double click right here on my Gaussian blur and give it less or more of a blur at any time also. Super handy. All right, let's give even more of a blur. That looks good. Okay, so now we're ready to choose soft light. So I'm going to go from normal down to soft light. It's going to make my light areas lighter and my dark areas darker, and it's going to add some color. You know what? I think I do want to make this a little bit bigger. So let's just go ahead and stretch it out. You can see a preview of the donut as we stretch it out. And when I hit enter, it applies that blur. And we can go ahead and rotate this around and then kind of move it in where we want to. And I think that looks really nice. So one of the things that I wanted to do with this video was show you that you can use images not just for like the texture and what's actually in the image, but if you just want to apply a blur to that image, then you can use it to color other photos. So if you like the colors of a photo, just bring it in, put a big blur on it, pop it into a soft light blending mode, and those colors will influence your new photo. So here we can see as I move it around, we have the same colors. And remember, this is in our contrast group, so it will both lighten and darken. So our light skies make it even lighter, and the dark areas will make this even darker. And somewhere right about there, I think it looks really nice. We have some light area coming from the sun here, and then we have some nice warm. We're kind of lightening up the shadows and adding some warmth, and then we're darkening down this areas, all with a picture of a couple of donuts, which I think is incredibly fun. So while we're here, let's go ahead and compare this to an overlay, which you're going to notice is going to be harsher than a soft light. So for most applications, I find that soft light is going to give us what we need. Now, of course, you can still change your opacity here. You can add a layer mask to this, and you can go in here and use blend if you'd like as well. So anytime you want to lighten your lights and darken your darks, as well as add interesting colors into your photo as a whole, I highly recommend using the soft light blend mode.